My personal belief is that no human intrusion will take place at any time scale ever.
We recognize that this could happen, that you might find and open Onkalo. We refer to that as human intrusion. We don't want this to happen because you may get hurt. But most of all, we are afraid of human intrusion because if Onkalo is opened, the waste will no longer be isolated from all living organisms, and we will have failed. In fact, we consider you the main threat to the safety of Onkalo.
If someone in the future is able to dig down to the repository, it will probably be a civilization of the same kind as we have presently. And in such a case, they will also be knowledgeable to know that this is a radioactive material.
Yeah, I think that's the most probable scenario, but I'm not so sure. It could be another situation. I think if someone found a facility like that in the future, they might interpret it as something religious, a burial ground, or a treasure.
If we look at the pyramids, we cannot really say that we understand everything about the significance of their erection, but we can assume that this could be the same for our repository. It will be interpreted in the same way as we interpret the pyramids. There is no clear understanding, and it is quite possible that we will not be understood by the future, especially by the distant future.
What if someone finds the repository? How should they know what it is?
Well, they should have some measuring tools to measure the radiation.
What if they don't have that?
Well, then they have to make a chemical analysis.
But what if they can't do that?
Well, if they cannot do that, then they cannot do the drilling either.
We can look back and look at ancient civilization, and they have done remarkable things. And we can just go back and look at the mining industry in Sweden, and then they, in the 16th century, they went down several hundred meters.
We must realize that the future scenarios are not just about high-tech or very low-tech, like a Stone Age scenario. We have scenarios in the middle where people may drill, but they may not understand, they may not have the technology to understand what they meet.
And the Roman Empire was born lived, prospered and died. And similarly, also the West will go through the same kind of phases. Being born, flourishing, developing, crumbling and dying. What do we know about society in 300 years? Virtually impossible to say anything. We might expect society as we know it to exist for 50 years more or for 100 years. And if you are convinced of what will happen then, let's put the question on a 300 years, 500 years time. Then the darkness thickens.
We know that the society changes very fast.
Could we imagine a society in the future where science and technology did not matter in the same way as it matters for us now? Well, that is of course entirely possible.
They might go up in technology, they might go down, and we don't really know. If we assume something in the future, they could go back to the Neanderthal.
I think that it's the changes that we will like getting short for.
The design and the construction and implementation has to be done so that, that no knowledge is necessary for the future, so that it can be safe also in that case that people would have lost the knowledge.
And we used to have a joke telling that when we start the digging for the repository, the first thing we will experience is a copper canister. Or exactly the same kind that we want to place ourselves. Of course, you would start to think, well, there must be a reason for this.
You have the scenario of the hidden treasure. You have the idea that something is there and it is valuable, and you people would start to dig for it. You could even have the scenario where people even know it is dangerous, but it's also valuable at the same time.
Could the waste also, in the future, have the value of gold or even more?
Well, just to answer the question honestly, yes. Yes, it could.
And it is a treasure. We must not... there's a lot of copper and also uranium, a lot of plutonium that could be valuable.
What is unpredictable, of course, is human behavior. That who knows why people might come and drill a hole.
There must be a reason for someone to start to dig down to 500 meters in a just average ordinary rock.
But what could prevent them from doing it?
I wouldn't know.
But could this reason be that the knowledge about what's there is incomplete?
Of course it could, yes.
What if there was a sign that said, don't drill here?
Well, that might be a case for, let's say, for a certain period of time at least.
What do you mean?
Well, if you put a marker, they are called markers.
So this is a concept or a thought that exists.
It's an idea which has been thought over, that an area where a disposal has been made could be marked using markers.
The obvious marker is an object with text on, just like a rune stone.
This is, I think, is a typical marker where you see that you have messages repeated in different United Nations languages, general information about the area, and you have more detailed information also. And that in turn is part of a whole marker system where you might have more detailed information yet if you went to another place in that same site. There would be a message kiosk, for instance. It is a more detailed message than the one on the monolith, and then you could go further on and have messages like a small library in carved rock, perhaps an underground.
What would be the content of the information?
To say that this is not an important place, it is a place of danger, and stay away from the site and not disturbing the site.